Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel, Tara Talks Books, where we talk everything bookish. So today I'm going to be doing a book unhaul. I actually have 9 books that I have, the majority of them I have read, and I'm going to remove them from my shelves because either I won't reread them or they aren't like all-time favorites that I want to keep on my shelves, or I just didn't rate them very high and they don't need to stay on my shelves. A couple of them are simply because I have duplicate copies because I found better versions of them. Those are historical romances, so I ended up finding ones that were in better condition to keep. So without further ado, let's get into the unhaul. The first one that I'm actually getting rid of is All Scott and Bothered by Kerrigan Byrne. This is simply because like I said, I found a version, or I found a copy that is just in better condition than this one. This one isn't in horrible condition, but I just happened to find one that was even better. So I ended up going to like a thrift store, purchasing this one, and then I went to a library book sale and I found a really good condition, so I picked it up. And since they were I think they were like $1.50 to $1, so I was like, okay, I can manage that. It says, he is first and foremost at everything, a man who's made his own way in the world through ruthless cunning and sheer force of will. A strong and imposing Scot who can turn on the charm but does not suffer fools. His title, Lord Chief Justice of the High Court. His name, Cassius Gerard Ramsay. His mission, to investigate the goings-on at London's most notorious gaming hell, owned and operated by one of the most intriguing and desirable women he's ever met. In this game of love, the rules do not apply. Cecilia Teague was an orphan facing a rather dire future until a secret benefactor from her mother's scandalous past swept into her life. Sent to a prestigious boarding school and later to university, Cecilia believed high society was at her fingertips. Then, from out of nowhere, she became the inheritor of a gambling establishment. Now Cecilia must live 2 lives, one as a proper lady who finds herself undeniably drawn to Lord Ramsay, and the other as a savvy gaming owner trying to save her business from the very same man. He has no idea she is both women, and Cecilia would like to keep it that way. But what happens when consuming passion and escalating danger threaten to reveal the truth? So this one, I'm glad that I picked it up, and I'm glad I'm keeping a copy of it. So I can't wait to get to it eventually, at least to the one on my shelves, but this one will be leaving it. Next historical romance that I ended up getting a step back copy of is Katherine Coulter, The Hellion Bride. So this one does not have a step back, but the one I do now have on my shelves does have a step back. So I was excited when I noticed that. So I was like, I'm gonna purchase it, and it was only like $1. So I was like, okay, yay. Anyways, this one is about Ryder Sherbrooke as a fun-loving rake with a secret. When he travels to Jamaica to solve the mystery of the supernatural goings-on at the Sherbrooke sugar plantation, he finds another mystery as well. A sophisticated 19-year-old girl, Sophia Stanton Greville, who wants to bed him, and not, he believes, because she is simply enthralled with his handsome self or his boundless charm. Sophia has successfully controlled every man in her orbit until she meets Ryder Sherbrooke, a man she knows immediately is different from the others. Ryder, confident as only a successful rake can be when it comes to knowing women, sets out to teach her who is in charge. It's said she already has 3 lovers. Is she indeed the outrageous tease she appears, a seductress, or is she an innocent with an ugly and terrifying secret? As to Ryder's secret, you will see. This is actually part of a series. The Sherbrooke, I don't know if it's like brothers. Anyways, it's like the Sherbrooke series, and I'm not sure which one this is in it, but again, this one will be leaving my shelf, but the other one will be staying because it has a beautiful step back, and I still want to read it as well. The next one I have is actually one that I have read, and that one is Lisa Kleypas' Tempt Me at Twilight. I'm getting rid of this one because, again, I found a better copy. I found all 3 of these at the same. I found them at the thrift shop, and then I found better copies at the library book sale. So that's where I picked up all these. Anyways, this one follows Poppy Hathaway, and this is part of the Hathaway series. And she runs into like hotel owner Harry Rutledge, and they kind of get into like a predicament. And so he, to like save her reputation, kind of has to marry her. So it goes from there. That's kind of like how they start their romance. I did enjoy this one. I absolutely love like the family. So I can't wait to go back and like read more from the Hathaway, from like the Hathaway family, to see the other, like, I think it's a sister, the two sisters and a brother. They all have books in the series. And so I can't wait to like go back into that family because they were just so much fun. So anyways, this one is leaving my shelf, but the other one is staying. So those are all the historical romances. I'm going to move on to other books, and every single one that I have read, but again, it will be leaving my shelf for various reasons. The first one is The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. I ended up reading this during the month of December. It was an okay read. I think it was like a 3-star for me, but it's not one that I want to reread, or it's like, it was just, like I said, it was just an okay read. So it doesn't need to stay on my shelf. But anyways, this one follows Ivy Perkins, and she like bought an old farmhouse sight unseen. And of course there's things that go, wrong with it. And I believe it's her neighbor ends up helping her. And so there's kind of like a romance, but then it's also about this town and the Santa suit that she finds in the town, which kind of like has a side story about, she finds like a note in the Santa suit, and it's from a little girl, and she's asking for her dad to come home from war. I think it was like the Vietnam War or something. So it was an older, the book is set in present day, but the Santa suit is from obviously years past, and she's trying to figure out what happened. And so she kind of goes on that journey, and she's kind of like discovering herself. And then there's kind of, like I said, a romance. So it was just okay. So it's not going to stay on my shelf. The next one I have is Speak by Lori Halse Anderson. I did enjoy this one when I read it, but I'm not, again, going to reread it. I think I gave it a 4-star. I definitely think that this is a good read, like a very impactful read, but I definitely was expecting something a little bit different from it. So again, I'm not going to reread it, but it's definitely one to pick up. So anyways, this one will be leaving my shelf simply because I know I'm not going to reread it. The next one is Dangerous Alliance, an Ostentatious Romance by Jenna K. Cohen. This one I read way back in August because of the Historical Romance Readathon. This is like a YA romance mystery, and I thought it was okay. I think I ended up going with a 4-star on it, but definitely, again, not one I'm going to reread, and it did take me a while to get through because it's just, I think it was a bit longer than it needed to be, and it was definitely very mystery heavy versus romance. So if you're into that, definitely check it out, but I will not be staying on my shelf. The next one I have is The Cartographers by Pung Shepherd. This one has a really cool premise, but I felt like the delivery was off. Like, I guess I wanted something different from it. So this is about a map. So Nell has been around maps her entire life. Her dad is like a cartographer or works for a museum of maps. And then he suddenly passes away after years of them not talking. And so she goes and she, like, obviously finds out something. She finds this map that ended up putting a rift between them in the beginning. And so she's like, why does he still have that? She's questioning it. So the map is like very rare, and she realizes that at first it looks like it's maybe not rare because it's like a gas station map, like something you would have got when you would like be driving. But then she comes to find out that like it's like the only one of its kind. So there's a mystery behind that, behind this map, and her discovering what it does. And then there's somebody after this map because they want it. And you kind of go, it goes from different like past to present, and she's discovering what this map is about and like what happened to her father and her mother. And I definitely think that the ending was a bit lackluster. And I think I ended up giving it 3.5 stars or something like that. Definitely, I had more questions than I had answers at the end. So if you're into maps, that's definitely a cool aspect of the book. But it isn't one that's going to stay on my shelves, even though it has this beautiful cover, because I know I'm not going to reread it and I need more room. So yeah, next couple are actually recent reads, and I'm getting rid of them because I read them for my 20 in 2024. And although I enjoyed reading them, I will not reread them. And the first one is Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazemen. So this one follows like 3 teenagers. So Reza, he is an Iranian boy who comes to the United States back in 1989. And this is during the height of the AIDS crisis in New York City. And he is hiding that he is gay. He is not telling anybody. And he meets some new friends at his new high school. He meets Judy, who becomes a big part of his life. And then he meets Art, who is the only like out gay person at his high school that he's met. And so he's very intrigued by him because he's discovering who he is. And obviously he's secret, but again, it's the backdrop of the AIDS crisis in 1989. And so there's that fear as well. So I really enjoyed this YA, like discovering who you are, because all 3 of the characters kind of figure out, you know, who they are and who they want to become. It's like a coming of age novel. And I did enjoy all 3 of the characters' perspectives, and I did enjoy the relationships. There was a Judy's uncle, who was one of the female main character in this book, who was a really good role model for Art and Reza. And so I really enjoyed that aspect. But again, it's a YA, and although I thought it was done very well, it's not something I'm going to reread. And the last one is Long Bright River by Liz Moore. This is another one that I ended up giving a 4-star to. I did enjoy it, but now it's like a mystery. It has a mystery element, but it's more like domestic fiction. And so I did enjoy that aspect. I enjoyed the domestic fiction of it. It's about 2 sisters who one is, it follows them from it goes back and forth. So it's dual timeline from when they were young to when they were older. Now they no longer talk. And it is because there was a rift in their relationship. So one of the main characters, Casey, she lives on the street. She is in the clutches of addiction. And then her sister, Mickey, is a cop who patrols those streets. So they're at very opposite ends of the spectrum in their lives. Their lives have diverged quite a lot. And I did like hearing about the sisters, but the mystery element is that Casey ends up missing amongst, there's a murder case. People are dying or being murdered in the district. And so she noticed that Casey is missing from her normal hangouts and spots as she patrols. So she gets nervous and she's like, what has happened to her? And she almost becomes obsessed with finding out what has happened to her own demise at points. So I really, like I said, I enjoyed the domestic fiction part of it. The mystery I didn't really need. But I did give this a 4-star. I do think overall it was a well-written book. But again, I won't reread it, so it is leaving my shelf, but I'm glad I did read it. So those are all the books that I am unhauling. The majority I've read, so I'm really proud of myself. So let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. Bye!